All the way back in 2017, I started my first ever dropshipping store, and that's actually why I created this YouTube channel, to share my experiences, my breakthrough moments, and what I've learned. And today is the video where I talk about why I actually quit dropshipping. Now, just because I say I quit dropshipping doesn't mean that it's a bad thing necessarily. I just personally believe that if you want to achieve big things in the e-commerce world, you can't always just be dropshipping. Now, there are proper ways to do it, but when we talk about it right now and the way you've seen on my channel and in this space and content across YouTube, you've probably seen it as a way where, hey, I'm going to find this product right here, I'm going to create an online storefront, and I'm going to go ahead and start selling it. And I truly believe that that is a very good entry point for people to get into e-commerce because it's low budget, low barrier to entry. It's not super difficult, even though all this stuff isn't getting any easier as we continue to progress through time. But I quit for several reasons, and to keep it as simple as possible and not make this more dramatic than it really needs to be, I'm going to take you through this quick story of how I started this dropshipping store back in 2020 and how it did very, very well. We were doing $20,000 days, but what actually happened to it, why it temporarily shut down, and what I had to do in order to take it to the next level and get out of the issues that we were having. Long story short, the sponsor of today's video, Alibaba.com, saved my butt, but let's get into the details. So we rewind over a year ago in early 2020, I came across this product that I really liked, and it had decent margins, something you could get for around 20 bucks shipped and sell for $70 to $80, and it had lots of different variants. So it made it pretty easy to sell considering customers love to have options. So I created this store and I started selling it, and it was doing well. I was running Facebook ads personally. This was a project just on my own. And just like anything else, if you see something doing well and working, you most likely want to compound it, because as humans, we naturally just are never satisfied, whether that's financially or Instagram followers. If we see something doing well, we just want to keep it growing. So in this story, I'm dropshipping a product and it was doing well financially, so I wanted to continue to scale that up. And keep in mind, for the payment processor on the store, I'm using a big name bank, not your traditional merchant that you may be familiar with. So they're going to be a little bit more looking into things and being a little bit more strict. So dropshipping this product, they essentially came to me. We're doing a few $1,000s a day in sales. I'm ready to scale. Things are working well. They come to me and they say, hey, we see what you're doing, but we really just want to, get more verification. So they asked me tracking numbers. Hey, can we get tracking for this person, this person, this person? So I sent them the tracking, and they are Chinese tracking numbers. At the time, our shipping times were probably a little over 2 weeks, so not the best, not the worst. There's definitely better options. I was going through an agent. So I sent them the tracking numbers. Some were delivered, some were in transit, some were processing. And at the time that they asked me for this information, they immediately put my account on a full hold. So pretty much what that means, if you don't know already, is all the money coming in, let's say, for example, it's $2,000 a day, that money is instantly going on hold. Whatever the amount coming in revenue, they're just holding it in basically an account that I cannot touch. But I figured they're going to see this, they're going to release it, we're going to be good to go and keep on moving forward and start to scale. But they took the tracking numbers and the other information they requested, they sat on it for a while. I'm still spending money out of my own pocket every day to fund this business and keep it rolling. And basically at the end of the day, they said, hey, we really just don't feel comfortable working with you on this project anymore. We wish you the best. And the money that has been sitting in this account and continuing to accumulate is going to be sitting for the next 6 months, so 180 days. I'm like, oh man, that's the first issue. So you typically aren't going to have that big of an issue with payment processors if you're just starting out dropshipping. I was just using not a very familiar payment processor with dropshipping, so they weren't a huge fan of it, which is okay. They're allowed to say no. And even after a setback, I didn't come all along this way just to give up on a project that's working. I knew I could make it work, so I took that determination to the next payment processor and began running things again. We increased the speed of the shipping times a little bit. It was one of the tweaks. Pretty much we just had to spend more money per order to have them shipped a bit quicker and more efficient and make the payment processor happy. But as we started to scale to some of those higher numbers, we really started to see some of the issues start to poke through of drop shipping for this business specifically, because this is a product that has many different variants, and when you have returns, exchanges, and stuff like that, it's really hard to manage when the product is overseas and I really have no control of everything going on. I'm really just selling something that I don't even have. So that's when the payment processor, the new one, called me and they said, hey, we want to support your business. We want you to keep growing, but we also need to protect ourselves. And the reason they told me that was pretty much just because the industry maximum for payment processing chargebacks is right around 1%. And we were slightly above that as we were starting to do more volume because of longer shipping times and unhappy people, because customers these days have no tolerance for long shipping times. They're so accustomed to these big name, big brands that offer these incredible shipping times that you really just can't beat. So if you're selling to a major market that's familiar with those types of shipping times and you're sending them something that they want in way longer, they're gonna think something is up. And the processor pretty much told me, if we wanna keep working together, you're gonna have to do this. And when I say this, he told me I need to buy inventory, because that would pretty much solve every issue: product quality, shipping times, and it even allows for some other fun stuff, which I'll get into here shortly. So after that first initial setback at the beginning of the year, I was kind of iffy on this just because money was being held and now we're having issues with this processor. I didn't want the same thing to happen, but they said, hey, this is going to be fine. You buy the inventory, we're going to make sure everything's clear, you're good to go, and just maybe scale down a little bit. So we scaled down a little bit, and I decided I was going to buy inventory, and I really haven't bought a ton of inventory at this time. During my years in e-commerce, most of the stuff had just been drop shipping or digital based. So when I knew that I needed to buy inventory, I didn't know the perfect route to go. But the first idea that popped into my mind was from all the way back in 2017, my first ever dropshipping store that I actually ended up buying inventory for after doing a little bit of volume, and I shipped out the orders from my parents' attic. And it sounds a little more dramatic than it actually was, because it was really just a finished room above the garage. So that came to mind, and I was thinking, where did I buy that inventory from? And it's funny how full circle things come around, because today's sponsor of this video is actually where I bought the inventory from, Alibaba.com. And I know you've heard of them, and it's actually really cool to be able to be working with them on this project, just because I get lots of emails every day from companies that I would never do a promo on here. I don't even know the last time I did a sponsored video, but the reason I took this one is because it's a company that I've used before and have been using ever since this last story that I just mentioned, because they offer so many different options for actually buying inventory at affordable costs, low minimum order quantities, which I can explain a little bit more here shortly. But that's why I took this sponsorship. I would never push something to you that I personally don't use myself. So kind of relaying back to the story where I knew I needed to buy inventory, what happened was I went to Alibaba.com because we already had our product in hand, and I was sending pictures and videos and links to different suppliers. Alibaba.com has over 200,000 suppliers globally that I was able to instantly connect with online and find my exact product. And then I ended up buying my first order for this project, 2,000 units. So the 2,000 units made its way all the way to our own fulfillment operations, and the story went, happily ever after. But 2,000 units is a lot to start off with. You don't necessarily need to order 2,000 units, whether you already have an e-commerce store that you've thought about buying inventory for, or you just have an idea for a brand you want to start and you maybe want to buy inventory. There's lots of suppliers that have very low minimum order quantities. So pretty much what that means is, instead of if you go to somewhere else, you may have to buy 100 units, 500 units, 1,000 units of this product for them to actually take the order and fulfill it. Compared to Alibaba.com, they may have a much better offer. And the second piece of buying inventory that's really cool is you honestly save a lot of money in the side of how much your product cost actually is, because with drop shipping, you're usually buying one unit at a time, and that's okay. It's low barrier to entry. You can get started and get your feet wet and see how it all works. But at scale, you may want to move to inventory because you can save a lot of money on volume plus all the other benefits. Because when I bought these 2,000 units, instead of paying, $20-something per unit, I was paying under $20 per unit. So I'm saving a few dollars per order already off the bat. So let's say, for example, that's $5,000 total if I sell all 2,000 units, which pretty much covers the shipping costs to ship from our own fulfillment operation and get our products to the customer within just a couple of days, which is, competing with some of these big name brands that you can't compete with if you were just drop shipping your product. So Alibaba.com actually helped me a lot with that transition and getting things back and running smooth again. And now to this current day since then, I have not drop shipped a single product. Everything I do is with inventory in-house. Now, you don't have to necessarily do that. I'm just saying that's what works for me. But if you're just starting from the ground up, maybe you want to start dropshipping just to build up some capital. Either way, right now is Super September on Alibaba.com. They have dropshipping opportunities as well as for buying inventory like I do. And Super September pretty much is one of the twice a year super crazy promotions that Alibaba.com does to give you up to 40% off products to allow you to stock up right now before some of the biggest holidays and the biggest season for e-commerce of the year, Q4. Alibaba.com. Spend less, sell more, baby. That's the way they do it. So that's pretty much what I've been up to all this time. From all the way back in 2017 dropshipping to now, every project I work on, I have inventory for, is honestly kind of a dream, because when I first started dropshipping, maybe similar to you, you really don't know what that next step is. I wasn't thinking about what's after dropshipping. Am I just going to dropship for the rest of my life? I really didn't know. So it's cool now to see things progressing and moving past that, and that's what I spend my time on now, running ads for other brands, building my own, and making fun videos like this. So as you continue to progress through your e-commerce journey, just really think about what your end objective is, and if you either need to dropship or buy inventory to really align with that objective and hit your targets. That's all I got for this video, but I truly hope it gave you some good insights and got your brain thinking about the different options and potential with inventory versus dropshipping and how you may want to continue. So if you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, please make sure to leave a big like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.